Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we're going to be checking out the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2003 era reissues from Playmates Toys. Yeah, how about that? This is a pretty exciting new release from Playmates Toys. So, we've been getting a lot of reissues, right? They've been reissuing so many items from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toy line. But now it's like we're finally getting some nostalgia. Maybe we finally hit that era where 2003 has come back around and we're going to start seeing some stuff from it again, which is so exciting because the 2003 series is really good. It was a really good toy line, and it's sort of been lost in the shuffle the past several years with so much else going on in the TMNT world. So these brand new reissues are bringing back the 4 turtles as they appeared in that 2K3 toy line. So I'm pretty excited to check these out. You can see that even the card backs that they come on are in the style of that original toy line. Now, I do believe there are some differences here. I unfortunately don't have any carded 2003 figures to really compare them to, but I do know that Leo, Mikey, Raph, and Don, when they were originally released, their card backs just had a single turtle head up at the top for each of the turtles that were actually inside the packaging. The packaging that utilized the 4 turtle heads were reserved for the other characters in the line. So that's one way that these definitely differentiate from those original releases. I think I read online that these card backs were slightly smaller as well, but I can't really confirm that because, like I said, I don't have one to compare to it right here. But I do think these are fantastic looking card backs. I definitely do have a bit of nostalgia seeing these card backs again, and it's crazy to think it's been over 20 years at this point since this reboot came out, because this felt like such a cool reboot at the time. So, of course, Leonardo, Raphael, you can see they are also packaged with all of their very unique accessories that these particular figures came with. There's Michelangelo, and of course, Donatello. Really nice card backs. They feel good, sturdy. Looking at the back of the packaging, obviously a lot of this down here would give away that it's a modern toy because it does say 2023. But a lot of this does look a lot like those vintage card backs where you can see the figure, the accessories that are included, the cross-sell, and we've even got a clip and collect bio for each of the figures. So we'll take a look at Donnie there. I like that it's get a grip on Mike's climbing box to get out fast. They did have some really unique accessories that came with these figures here, which is really fun. Here's Raphael, who had the pulley line and rider. I love that. So it's a zip line, basically. Very classic Ninja Turtles weapon. And Leonardo, who had the fun little suction cups. So this is pretty exciting. I'm really anxious to get these opened up and really check them out. We're definitely going to compare them with my actual 2003 figures, because I do have the figures loose. We'll see if these new ones differ from those, or if they're identical. Let's open them up. Let's find out. All right, so let's go ahead and start with Leonardo here, and he'll be our basis for our measurements and everything. So if you've never had the 2K3 Turtles before, these do stand just shy of 5 inches tall, very much in the same scale as even the vintage toy line, but they were shaped a little different. They were beefier, and definitely have a bit of a different look to them overall. And one of the things I will say right out of the box with these is I'm very impressed with the paint deco and everything on here, because the 2003 Turtles did include more paint than we typically saw on a lot of the vintage Ninja Turtles figures, especially with the weapons. These were known for having like actual silver paint on the blades and brown paint on the handles, whereas typically Ninja Turtle weapons do come just solid colored plastic. So I'm very happy to see that Playmates continued the trend of actually painting the weapons from that original toy line, and they didn't cheap out here by giving them solid colored weapons or just unpainted weapons. So good job, Playmates. Kudos for sure on here. Now these look very much just like the 2003 figures. A big part of this is just going to be comparing these to those vintage ones. The weapons feel just like those. You can see they're very pliable and bendy on the blades. This is exactly how those ones that were released in the 2K3 era were. So nothing has really changed there. So let me bring in my actual 2003 release, Leonardo. That's this guy over here. And standing them side by side, you can see overall sculpt is the same, but I think you can see that there are some color differences between these figures. The standout for me is with the front shell there. It's a bit of a richer color on the vintage. It's a bit more matte finished on the new. The head also has a paint deco that's more of a matte finish, while we've got more of a glossy plastic head on that original release there. The knee pads and elbow pads look darker on the new one. And one of the things that stands out the most to me is the solid lines that are painted on that front shell. You can see on the original ones, it is darker in between those pieces on the front shells, but they're not solid lines like they are here. And you'll actually see that's a little bit darker on some of the other turtles in the line, but that's the biggest standout to me. They look very similar on the back. One of the areas that you can also just look at these new ones and tell that they're modern is if you look at the bottom of the feet here. The copyright information has been updated, so it says 2023 Playmates Toys on the bottom of the foot, which is a good thing. So you can definitely tell these apart from the vintage toys, and I know that that matters. That way we can't pass off these new ones as original ones, but I will say quality-wise, they feel exactly the same. They look so similar. So these are really nice new versions here. Like, I don't see any areas where anything was kind of cheaped out on. It really does feel like Playmates ran these exactly the way they were ran originally. Now, Leonardo does come with some bonus accessories. He's got these really cool suction cups that you can put in his hands here, which the original release came with these as well. So you can grip those in his hands if you want. And these are actual suction cups too. I mean, if you really wanted to stick these to a flat surface, look at that. So you could actually have Leonardo climbing on something if it fits that. And then all of the turtles are going to come with these little throwing stars that have the yin-yangs in the middle. That was another thing from this era of Ninja Turtles. He can actually grip onto those as well. So very nice figure. I like these a lot so far. All right, so here's Michelangelo, and of course he does come with 2 pairs of nunchucks. They're actually holding their signature weapons in the package, so when you pull them out, they're already holding them in their hands. Again, fully painted. You got silver paint on the actual chains, which the chains are just molded plastic. They're all a plastic piece here. It is pliable, so you can bend them on the chains, but yeah, fully painted chucks, which is really nice. And of course, on the back of the belt, you do have an area where you can store those, and it's tight. I always remember that being like that on the original release as well. But yeah, check that out. You can just store them right there on the back of the turtle shell if you want to. And let's go ahead and bring in my original Michelangelo figure here. There we go, looking at these two side by side. Again, I noticed those differences, and this one especially has really darkened in line work on that front shell. Look how thick the lines are there. So that's the biggest standout, aside from the color. The color is also a bit different from that original release there, but very similar still. And they feel really good. Both figures feel really, really solid. I would say that the vintage one actually has a bit of a washing on the body that I don't see on the newer one. The newer one actually does seem to be a bit more plain on the plastic there, but still, everything about this feels really nice and looks really cool. Mikey, of course, comes with this crazy little zip line type accessory. This is one of those ones where it's like a pulley system on the inside. So if we wanted to hang Mikey off of this, let's see, he's got a handle here, so we can grip him on the handle. You can see one end has a hook. So essentially, the way this works is if you've got the hook hanging up on something, you can pull this thing down here on the bottom, and it zips him up. Look at that. It actually works pretty well. Very similar to like Web Store from Vintage Masters of the Universe or any of those types of figures that would have that pulley-like system. And Mikey also gets 2 of his own yin yang throwing stars. All right, bring it on over to Donnie. I will say Donatello's a bit different in the sense that he only came packaged with 1 bow staff. I do remember the original release coming with 2 of them. Here's my original release here because I got 1 bow staff on his back, 1 in his hands. But again, it's the same kind of differences. The sculpt itself does appear to be the same, but the colors are slightly different. We've got more of a matte look on the front shell on the new release there with some different colors. Also, the line work is definitely a lot darker. Even the skin tone definitely looks a bit more matte on the new one, and it is a bit of a different shade as well, but still very similar. One of the accessory things that I liked for Donatello in this line was that he's got these really awesome attachments for his bow staff. So you got this axe you can stick on one end and a knife blade on the other end. And now Donatello's got some blades of his own to do some battle. This was definitely an attempt to make Donnie cooler, right? Because I know that he's always kind of had, quote, the lamest of the weapons. And I think Playmates was always trying to find ways to spice that up to make him exciting. And I think that's exactly what's going on here. But I like it. I always liked it in the 2003 era as well. And going along with those, of course, he's got his own throwing stars. And then we've got Raphael and his size here. Just like Leo, the blades are a bit on the pliable side, but again, fully painted weapons, very shiny silver, looking really nice. If I bring in my original Raphael release with his belt falling off here, we can look at these two side by side. You can see that the new one seems to be a bit of a brighter green than the original. Again, the line work on the front shell is a bit different from the vintage, but still very similar in look overall, but it does stand out. So that's definitely key across the board. These figures look just like the 2003 ones, but there are differences with the paint deco, but they still look good. I don't think these look sloppy by any means, and the quality feels really nice on there. The articulation is really good, solid on these guys. I didn't really go over that yet. I guess I just assumed you guys knew, but a lot of these turtles do kind of have those battle stances, just like the vintage line. So you'll notice that their legs are always going to be positioned weird like this. They don't have knee joints or ankle joints or anything like that. The legs can just twist there, and they do have the hinges to move forwards and backwards. And then you can bring the arms forwards and backwards, but also out. At the time when these were released, this articulation was awesome to see for Ninja Turtles, even though it's not a ton different from the vintage line, but we were still a little bit away from super articulation being common on action figures. Marvel Legends was out at the same time as this, and they were changing the game, my friends. But this, these function really well, and these do a great job of just bringing back that 2003 era. Raphael's weapon, extra weapon, is this cool little zip line system thing. There's no rope, so you're gonna have to use your own string in order for this to work, but the original figure came with this as well, and of course, 2 throwing stars. So there you go, my friends. There is a look at the brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 40th anniversary 2K3 Turtle collection from Playmates Toys. I love them. I think it's so cool. And I know that reissues are going to be one of those things that's either, you're into it or you're not into it. You don't really care that they're bringing old stuff back or not. But if you've never had an opportunity to get anything from the 2003 toy line, this is a great way to get some of them. And for me personally, I'm just happy to see this particular version of the Turtles getting some love again. We've had lots of amazing Turtles content the last several years with so many different toy lines from so many different companies, and the 2003 era kind of feels like it was forgotten about. At the time, it was so exciting. It was a fun era to live through. I loved that series. I loved collecting these toys. So it's really cool just to see something, like a little bone being thrown to the 2K3 fans, but I hope this is going to lead to more. I would love to see more collectible style figures to go along with these. I would even be okay if Playmates wants to reissue more from the 2K3 lineup, just because I think it's a really good line of figures that I think gets overlooked quite a bit. So these are hitting store shelves right now. I know that they are already being found at Target stores. So happy hunting, my friends, and until next time.